I'd like to give you a demonstration of a new app I've been working on for Solar Network that I'm calling SolarSSH. And the purpose of this app is to provide administrators the ability to connect to solar nodes that are otherwise inaccessible over the public internet because they're behind firewalls and you can't actually SSH into a node or connect to its web server to administer it. So this works around that by running a new server app, the one here called SolarSSH, that works in conjunction with a new plugin for the node to ask the node to establish an SSH connection out from the node to the SolarSSH server, and then on top of that allow tunneling more connections back over that SSH connection to the node from the SolarSSH server. Then the SolarSSH server can then act like a reverse proxy for both HTTP connections and for SSH connections, which then give the ability for someone sitting in a browser like what you see here to essentially connect directly or connect to the node and administer it. So when I tap this connect button, what will happen is it will enqueue an instruction to Solar Network for this particular node saying, hey node, please open up an SSH connection back to the server and listen on a couple of ports for me. So I'll do that now. And I'm going to skip providing these SSH connections and show you that later. So that enqueued the instruction for Solar Network, and this all happens asynchronously. So we wait for a little while for this to happen. First it has to, the node has to check in with Solar Network to get that instruction, and then the node will execute it, and then the node will later report back that it finished executing that instruction. And the instruction again says, hey, open up an SSH connection from you to me, essentially. So we'll wait here for it to do that. There, that didn't take too long. So the node opened up an SSH connection. So now there is a tunnel open between the SolarSSH server and the node. And if I click on this setup button, that will basically just open up a new tab pointing at the SolarSSH server, which will then proxy all these requests down to the node. So essentially it looks like I'm talking directly to the node when really I'm talking to SolarSSH, who is then proxying everything back down to the node and then back to the browser. So that's really handy. Now if I go back here, the second component of that is being able to get to the command line of the node. So I can do that if I tap connect again, and if I provide SSH credentials to connect to the node, what happens is now I'm passing these credentials to the SolarSSH server, which is going to start up a new SSH connection back to the node. Now through the SSH connection that the node first opened up to the SolarSSH server. So it's a bit sort of trippy, but we've got the connection actually being encrypted twice, but in this way the SolarSSH server forces a user to provide credentials to connect back to the node. So I will log in here. There we go. I now have an SSH connection from the SolarSSH server to the node, and this terminal that you see here in this browser basically connects to a WebSocket on the SolarSSH server, and then SolarSSH can proxy all this terminal connection traffic and text to and from the node. So here I can just do whatever I want to from the command line of the node. And what's really nice about that SSH connection that the node established is that it's managed at the operating system level by systemd in this case, not the SolarNode app. So if I was administering the node and I wanted to sort of restart the node process itself, then that's fine. I wouldn't lose my SSH connection or anything because that's just sort of managed at a lower level. And once I'm all finished, then I can ask the node to shut down that SSH connection and sort of end this whole session. And by pressing that end button, that enqueues an instruction for the node again to this time shut down the SSH connection to the SolarSSH server, and everything then gets disconnected and the node is back to where it was when we started.